We're back. We saw Tiny Mio and everyone's happy now.
Yeah.
I could not be happier. Tiny Sonozaki. What's she gonna do? You could fit so many murders in this tiny child.
Here's a thought. Which Sonozaki was it?
Oreo can tell the difference.
I see.
Yeah, like I don't know if we've talked about this in a while, but Oreo can tell the difference, which is why it was important for Shion to kill her as well as Mayor Kimiyoshi. Because those were the only two close enough to her to be able to tell the difference, without trouble. So if Oreo says it's Mion, I'm going to believe it's Mion.
Alrighty.
There's a chance that there is a world where it is Shion pretending to be Mion, and Oreo's just like, I don't have time for your bullshit.
I need tea. I don't have time for
I don't have time for this weird parent trap thing you're doing. But no, it was Mion. The phone suddenly rang. I woke up in a hurry. The clock read 9 p.m. Damn it. I slept past the time I was supposed to report in. Picked up the receiver.
Akasaka-sama, you have a call from an outside line. Shall I connect you? It's from a coworker named Kano-sama.
I knew it. I didn't call until they had phoned me. Sorry, please put them through.
Understood. I'll connect you, so please hang up the receiver for the time being.
Remember when you used to have to do that?
Yep.
I don't think in my... you know what? At least when I was old enough to be using the phone on my own, I don't think I had to do a connection like this. I think we just missed that. Or at least I just missed it, but... After I put down the receiver for a few seconds, the phone began to ring again. Yes, hello, this is Akasaka.
Akasaka-kun, this is Kano. Good work out there. You didn't call in for your regular report, so we called instead. What's your situation?
Leaving the lecture for later, my senior coworker got straight to the point. Alright, today I went to the village proper. Under the guise of a tourist, I managed to establish contact with the mayor and several other core members of the Guardians. Wasn't able to ask them anything, but I left a good impression and was able to make a bridge for my investigation from tomorrow onwards.
I see. It looks like things are going smoothly. Akasaka-kun, you seem rather naive sometimes, but that might have worked in your favor. I guess you made some good progress for now?
I don't have the experience to make a comparison, so I don't know if it's that good or not. I think things went well for today, though.
Did you find out anything from the prefectural or local offices? Does it look as though the Onagafuchi Guardians is unrelated to this incident?
I still didn't know. I should have been able to say that immediately. I only had to say that, but for some reason, I hesitated. I'm still investigating, so I don't know what to say yet.
I see. Could you let us know as soon as possible? I think you understand, but after tonight it'll have been a full 4 days since the kidnapping happened.
Nah.
They didn't set a time limit, but it's obvious that time is not on our side. I think you know that.
Yes, I know. I'll investigate a little quicker while still being careful about it.
Okay. Be sure to look after yourself. You're dealing with a violent organization here. It might be dangerous to let your guard down. If you feel that you're in any danger, contact me immediately. In that case, I can get the local public safety office prepared to help you.
Thank you. I'll do my best.
Anything else to report?
I reported several bits of supplementary information and at the very end decided to ask. How's the investigation going on your end?
Everybody's doing their best here, but we're not making much progress. After all, the number of organizations we're investigating is vast, so if you find out the one you're investigating is in the clear, we'll have you return to Tokyo to assist some of the other officers. The chief is saying to dig up what you can on Onagafuchi, but I don't think a residential anti-dam protest group has any relation to the incident at hand. Sending somebody out just to investigate a single group makes me cringe, really.
At this point, he was just complaining. He was telling me to stop taking time enjoying my trip, to finish up and get back quick. I'll try and resolve this as soon as I can.
Thanks, I'm counting on you. Well then, if there's nothing else, I'm hanging up.
Alright, that's all I have. As we were ending the call, he scolded me thoroughly for being late with my regular report. After that, I hung up on the phone and sprawled out on the bed. Come to think of it, I hadn't heard anything from Ooishi. He was supposed to contact me about a time and place to meet with the informant tonight. Thought about getting angry with Ooishi in retaliation for being scolded for forgetting my daily report. Come to think of it though, Ooishi didn't really say anything other than that he was going to call tonight. Waiting for a phone call when you didn't know what time it was going to come was in itself rather difficult. Just when I thought that the phone rang, and I picked up the receiver in a hurry. Hello? Hello? Huh, well, this is a surprise. Akasaka-san, you're pretty quick to answer the phone now, ain't you? Are you a regular user of dating chat lines or something? I would never even try something seedy like that. The way you overreact is rather interesting. Want to go to a place where you can have a little bit of a lewd fun? I'll pass. So, could you please get to the point, Oishi-san? Oh, really? Well, too bad. We'll leave that for next time then. Well, I'll get to the point. Many of the executives in the Onagafuchi Guardians had a lot of sway in the neighboring regions. Even in Okonomiya, there were a lot of people with relations in the village. That's why meeting in the Shishibone Market District far from Okonomiya was a matter of course. That was freaky. Akasaka-san, over here. Did you get a little lost? Coming from the north entrance might have been a bit of a detour, but it was easy to give you directions from there. No, I'm sorry for being late. Oh, did you eat dinner already? Yeah, I already did. Well then. Shall we go to a place where we can get a drink? I know a fine family restaurant. You prefer Western alcohol or maybe sake? Would you prefer a place with or without women? Don't worry about it. I don't drink while I'm on the job. Hearing that, the man that Oishi had brought along bent backwards as he guffawed, clapping Oishi on the shoulder. See? It ain't just adorable. In exchange, can you give him a bit extra? That money all came from this guy's wallet, you know. The man that Oishi brought seemed almost like a ticket scalper or a bookie. Even his appearance was dubious. The informant grinned deviously.
Hey, boy, how much did you give this guy? Looks like there was quite a bit skimmed off the top, you know.
Well, Oishi's handling fee was included, so I took that into account. It seemed the informant had expected a more extravagant reaction on my part. When I responded matter-of-factly, he realized I was an entirely different type of person than he was. Rather than putting a distance between us, seeing that I had piqued his interest. I said it, didn't I? He's the serious type. But do you see, Akasaka-san, people in a line of work like ours can really use their wealth of experience to their advantage. I'm wondering exactly how the experience of drinking in a bar with women would work to my advantage. The informant, unable to contain himself, clutched at his stomach as he guffawed, heedless of the people watching.
Oh, lordy. Akasaka-san, you really can judge people. That's what an education does for you. We swap.
Oh, shit. Oh, lordy, Akasaka-san, you really can judge people. That's what an education here does for you. Oishi-san, you've been drinking somewhere, haven't you? Are you drunk? What's wrong with drinking when I'm off duty, eh? Even if you're working, I ain't. Oishi was the sort that fool around to begin with, was in such a good mood I couldn't figure out a way to deal with him. Completely different than me, who had come worried about getting every bit of information I could. Oishi-san, after taking so much money, you were supposed to get me information worth at least as much. I thought this, and then I realized I was getting my information from the informant, so it didn't matter how drunk Oishi was. Nothing I could complain about, but I still felt slightly riled up. Oishi and the informant was no doubt a fake name, but he introduced himself as Sato. Have we heard that name before anywhere?
I don't recall.
Sato. Okay, I'll have to think about that. Led the way deeper and deeper into the back streets of the market district. Even though the market was bustling, a couple of turns off the main street and you were in a desolate alleyway. Wait. We discussed... I remember a while ago we were discussing a particular person with connections to the S group that we couldn't for whatever reason the police didn't want to seem to deal with.
Yeah?
Someone who we speculated, or I speculated, might have been an informant or for some reason that, couldn't be taken out easily because he was in he was in that kind of precarious position. Is this Tepe? Oishi started climbing a set of stairs on the side of a seedy building. There wasn't any sort of signage, so I couldn't tell if the place was open or even if it was even a store at all. Well, don't worry now, this ain't no dubious place. Those words coming from Oishi's mouth had absolutely no credibility. Beyond the door was, thankfully, a typical mahjong parlor. I was relieved that it wasn't the sort of suspicious place I had to be on my guard about. Welcome. Oh,
Welcome. Oh, Oishi-san, it's been a while. Want to join in? There'll be a free spot soon.
no, I'm here with a group today, so, it's fine. Sorry to keep you waiting. Mahjong is a game played with 4 people. Seems that a middle-aged man who was going to be our 4th had already arrived and was waiting for us.
You're late, Kuraudo. I was just thinking of going home.
Oishi made an excuse for why he had taken so long. Eventually realizing I was a new face, the other man grew interested. Well, that there's Akasaka-san. He's a rookie who came all the way from Tokyo on assignment. I got high hopes for him.
Boy, can you play Mahjong?
Well, I played a bit when I was still a student. Sato and the old man cackled in unison. Their plot to sucker me out of my money was painfully obvious. I thought you'd be a bit tired from your assignment, leaving you on edge all the time. I'll give you a night to cleanse your spirit. I know asking this now might be stupid, but we're all police, aren't we? Well, let's not talk about that. Loosen up a bit. We won't actually gamble nothing. We're just deciding who's going to pay for everyone to go play at a very nice place afterwards. Go play, huh? What kind of place would you be doing that? Right out of the reservation, 3 of them started suggesting places like cabarets, high-class clubs, and even brothels. At the very least, they were the type of places that you couldn't go to with money that was just for funsies.
Oishi-san took all my money the other day, and I also have work to do, so I can't stay for long. Then all you have to do is win. If you win, then you won't have to pay for this table, and you can talk to Kuraudo about work or whatever.
No matter what happened, it seemed like they were intent on playing Mahjong for free. I would have to fasten my resolve a bit. If I was going to be underestimated like this forever, it was going to get in the way of my work. I understand. I'll play with you guys for just a bit. If I win, you guys don't get any of the money or get to go to any of those dirty places, and we talk about work right away. Yeah, bring it on.
If I win, we're headed straight to the Blue Mermaid on Flower Road. The Soul Lech here likes that place too. Of course, we're going to hop between all the places where they keep the girls coming. Akemi-chan. What about you, Sato-san? I'd prefer a place where we can drink quietly. Like a nice quiet place with a bunny girl. The last time we went drinking, you pulled the tail right off that bunny girl, didn't you? Didn't you end up having to pay for that? The owner started a bottle of Dom Perignon on my tab and called it a tailoring fee.
What a lively table this was. I could tell the other customers were glaring at us while we loudly continued our crude conversation. Speaking of which, the fact that they assumed I was the same was a bit disheartening. Oishi had taken all the money I'd brought, so everything I had left was out of my own pocket. In addition, there wasn't that much less than that either. I kept on hanging around him like this, though through his goading, my loyalty would disappear into the night. I had to somehow win and return the conversation to my job. These people, no matter how you looked at it, were pretty good. Sorry, Yukie. Nah. Well then, I'll just call Rishi here. Oh no, that was for Akasaka. Well, the old man and Sato-san probably won't fall for this silly Rishi. I wonder if Akasaka-kun will spit out...
It's swap.
Oh shit.
Point.
So who is this then? Pretty... Kuraudo?
Definitely, yeah.
Not Kuraudo.
Yeah, pretty definitely Oishi.
Well, the old man and Sato-san probably won't fall for this silly Rishi. I wonder if Akasaka-kun will spit out what I need.
Unless it's not. Yeah, I don't know.
At any rate, Kuraudo's hand is probably holding something like that, huh? In that case, this one ought to go through. There! Oh ho! Old man's pretty good. He's quietly trying to use one of my safe tiles to complete his hand, ain't he? Seems that Akasaka-kun has at least learned the ropes when it comes to guarding and getting someone's Richi. But that'll be his downfall.
What's wrong, boy? Would you hurry up and discard? If you're not sure, anything that Kuraudo's already thrown away should be safe, no?
Almost all. That's like usually a safe move. Unless it isn't. Oh, Akasaka-kun's really fretting over this one, huh? It's glaringly obvious he had a safe tile discard, but he didn't want to throw it away because it would move him farther from completing his hand. It's so nice when they're young and innocent. Come on, hurry up and throw out the kicker. If he gave me the winning tile, we'd be headed to an establishment where I could do all sorts of licking and sucking. Gives the old man his winning towel, we'd be headed straight to the place with the maids and bloomers. This will go through, right? He looked up hesitantly as he hesitantly threw out a tile that was, oh, too bad.
Hey now, that's a dangerous tile, you know. Kuraudo, does that go through?
Yeah, it will. Seems this time you were lucky. As long as the round kept going, I could still win off the draw. So when you're in Rishi, just to explain this, when you're in Rishi, you're basically in a holding pattern.
One tile away from winning.
One tile. You're basically one tile away from. You've said to the table, "I am one tile away from winning. I'm not going to change my hand at all." So that means you have to. If you don't win off of your tile draw, you have to immediately discard. On the other side, though, you can win off of anyone's discarded tile, even in situations where you might not normally be able to. So, and the benefit is that it also counts as you need a certain amount of points in order to be able to win a round, and being in Rishi counts towards that qualification. Like, your hand has to meet certain specifications in order to be legally win the round, and just declaring Rishi will take care of that as well. So if you've got a hand that doesn't have any of the other patterns you can look for in it, you can just be like, okay, I guess I'll try to go for Rishi instead.
Yep.
And then win that way. But after that, Akasaka-kun managed to luckily avoid throwing any bad tiles, and somehow the round managed to end without anyone completing a hand. Tenpai. Noten. Sato-san had keenly anticipated the two players were in Rishi and decided to play it safe. What a cool-headed way of playing. See what kind of hand did Akasaka-kun have. When the round ends with no one winning in Mahjong, anybody in Tenpai has to show their hand. If you're not in Tenpai, you got no obligation to reveal it. The average beginner would normally show their hand even if they weren't in Tenpai. It'd start a commotion about how if this tile or that tile they came, they would be in Tenpai, but he didn't know. Being stingy, huh? How'd you do, boy? Come on, show me. Oh, that's Sato, sorry. Sato-san reached over to flip the hand that Akasaka-kun had casually placed face down. Huh? What the hell is this? He was nowhere near Tenpai. Was Akasaka-kun totally bad at this after all? Right then, as the old man compared tiles from Akasaka-kun's end to the old discard pool, a puzzled expression crossed his face. This is
Boy, you were in Tenpai right around here, weren't you? Why'd you break your hand?
The higher Manzu tiles suddenly got more valuable, so I held them back. Even though the chance they were safe tiles had increased with respect to Oishi-san's Rishi. It would have been safer to read the discards, but there was a player who went out of their way to keep the tiles out of play.
Oh, so Kuraudo's Tenpai was no good from the start, in other words.
If it wasn't such a high-level trap, I would have thought you were waiting for me to throw out the winning tile, but the more concerning thing is that you were in Tenpai and didn't say anything.
When did you realize I was in Tenpai?
Around here-ish? You threw out 4 tiles in a row immediately. At first I thought you were just discarding redundant tiles, but noticed you glancing over at me and realized you were waiting for something. Akasaka-kun, Akasaka-san, when did you first start playing Mahjong? I never did, except in high school and university. Now, let's continue. Since Sato-san wasn't in Tenpai and the round ended without a winner, then I'm next, right? The next dealer. Seems like Akasaka-kun is really aware of how the game flows. We thought we were just gonna eat him alive, but looks like that ain't gonna be so easy now. Akasaka-san casually being like, oh, I haven't really played that. I'm not too good at this. I'm sure you guys are gonna wipe the floor with me.
I only played in high school and university championships.
Oh, Oishi-san, it looks like you're going for some bamboo tiles. Should I put some in play? Huh, this boy. Oh, this is Sato or
This boy. Kuraudo, don't back down.
As long as I get 3 more tiles. Good tiles. Sato-san, you think you can do it?
Damn it, I'll just force you to go for a cheap Tanyao. Chi.
Straight? Oh, well, sorry, I'm going to pawn that tile. Whoa now, going to call 3 of a kind after he declared a straight. That is actually really risky. Because Mahjong is all about creating matching sets of tiles, right?
Yep.
In order to be able to win the hand, the patterns you make with your tiles have to themselves follow a pattern. There are very few ways that you can win with both and once you've there are very few ways that you can win your hand with both a 3 of a kind and a straight in them. There aren't a lot of permutations that make that work. And that's especially true if you've declared them and showed them to everyone, which you have to do in order to play off of someone else's tile.
Yep.
So basically what he's saying to everyone is either I'm playing for the draw or I've got a really crazy hand that you're not going to see coming. Trying to override and interfere. Yeah, so I like he's either saying I've got something really crazy in the back that's going to mean I can win this, or I am very visibly playing to draw the game or to try to defend against other people.
Yep. Boy, you're getting pretty used to this.
Oh, no, I couldn't even compare to you guys who've been playing since before I was born. That's game, though. Roan. Triplets, 2 red Dora, 3 more Dora. I'm the dealer, so this will cost you quite a bit. Yeah. Okay, Dora tiles are, how to explain this? Basically, Mahjong is played with this huge deck of tiles, right?
Yep.
When you deal them out, there are some tiles left over. Of those tiles left over, one of them is flipped up and is called the Dora tile. And basically, that tile, not the tile itself, but the one, I believe, after it in rotation, is then called a Dora tile and earns you more points if you create a hand with that tile in it. It's not the tile itself, because obviously the tile, you'd be 1 down since the tile itself is there in the not used stack, right? But yeah, it basically, if your hand, you get more points for those hands.
Mm-hmm.
And scoring in Mahjong, you don't earn points. It's zero sum. The points you earn come from the players who lose. Did I explain that well? I feel like I did. Okay.
I think so.
Yay. Yeah. Akasaka-san, last job. Now we'll have to get serious, huh? Won't we? Well, could you get serious about handing over your points? I'm tired, so let's end this quickly. Akasaka-kun. This is somehow unreal. Before I could realize that there was an ominous cold air emitted from beneath Akasaka-kun's feet.
How blase. The 2, 5, and 8 Monzoos are laughing at you. Oh, shit. Damn it, boy, you. Corrado, finish it. You have to end this boy's turn as dealer.
I hate to admit it, but that does seem like the best option. There it is. Roan, simple straights, 1 Dora. Sorry, head bump. Roan, straight. A head bump? You damn brat! Brat, huh? So you would play that sloppily against a brat? I guess that means you were worse than a brat yourself. It's so interesting, the way you guys call people things like brat and boy. Akasaka-kun? That is you, ain't it? Feels like you're a totally different person. You thought that I, being a sucker, would let you drink some good booze tonight. Seems that you were a little off the mark. Roan, triple straight, red Dora, and another Dora. Whoa! He actually did it! That's why I'm saying you guys are slacking. No matter how you look at it, you have to be able to read such an obvious 3-way weight. Akasaka-kun chuckled as he rested his chin in his hands. That pose was so fitting it was almost scary.
Hey, Corrado, this isn't what we discussed. Who the hell said he was a naive sucker ripe for the picking?
Ooh, I love that Oishi was it's not even playing around. He was just trying to take him for his money.
Yep.
Who could it be?
Oishi-san, this is bad. If he keeps going like this, we're seriously going to lose.
Akasaka-kun. For you to make me get serious. Looks like you really want to be milked dry. That's right, I'll milk you, boy. Pone. That sounds nice. One more time. Pwn. Akasaka-kun was almost singing at this point. Tiles he had open were all pin tiles. Can't be serious. Are you really going for the flush? Pwn. Oh, pwn.
Boy, are you right in the head. You've opened 4 sets. You only have 1 tile left, you know.
That's right. Did you know? Waiting on a single tile is the hardest thing to read.
Are you an idiot? With that much of your hand revealed, you don't think we give you a tile you need, do you?
I know what you're doing, Akasaka-san. That's not a flush or a half flush, is it? The fact that you called pwn 4 times means you're already in position for an all-triplet hand. Right now, you're falling away in the lead. You're trying to show a flush and Godus and giving you triplets, ain't you? Well, if that's what you think, you want to try throwing out some pins? The left 5 tiles are in your hand, Oishi-san. They're pin tiles you're reluctant to throw away, aren't they? Why don't you try discarding them in order from the left? You must be joking. Is he some kind of mahjong god? If not, he had to be the main character of a manga or something. He is the main character of a visual novel. Just at that moment, the old man sent me a sign on the table. Message was simple and clear.
Corrado, do it. Rush him.
I ain't like to cheat against kids like this.
Idiot, after being disrespected like this, we can't pull back now.
How are they having this conversation under the table?
No idea.
Is it just like this is the implication of them playing footsies?
Maybe.
Well, I ain't responsible for what happens, you know? Go ahead.
Here we go, boy. Ricci, we'll go open. I'm waiting for a 1, 4, or 7 of pins.
Huh. Most likely, the tile that Akasaka-kun was waiting for was one of those tiles. With this, Akasaka-kun was no longer capable of winning the hand. Okay, because what they're relying on is that this older gentleman is before
Yep.
him in order. So basically he'll get first dibs. When I drew from the wall, I switched out the tile that Akasaka-kun would draw. The tile I put in was the 1 pin. One of the tiles the old man was waiting on. Okay, so what Oishi has done is a sly little thing here. If someone flips up a tile, if 2 people are in Rishi, right, waiting to win, or if 2 people are waiting to win on someone else's drop, and someone else drops it, and they both can win on that, then they both win. If someone draws the tile that they need to complete their hand, and completes their hand that way, only they win, even if that same tile would let someone else win. So Oishi is subtly, is not subtly, I don't know how subtle this is, but he's basically got a tile in his hand that would help his buddy there win. This is not a legal move, of course, but he knows that if he discarded that tile, then both of them would win on it, and it wouldn't help anything. But if he puts it if he sneaks in a position where the guy after him can then draw it, then only he can win. Assuming he's read the position correctly. I learned how to play Mahjong because of this game, and it's paying off.
You did. You absolutely did.
I wonder what these strategies say about these characters and their motivations, huh? Akasaka-kun just started it a while ago, so there was no threat of it being the one he needed.
I gotta get you to watch Akagi.
I think I would go crazy.
It's so good, though. Come on, it's your turn, boy.
Huh. I knew it was trouble the tile he drew was the 1 pin. Of course he couldn't discard it.
Boy, you must be aware, but if you discard into an open Ricci, it's worth the limit, you know?
Well, you don't have to tell me that. The tile that came from Akasaka-kun's hand was an Ana tile? Oh, well, ain't that something? There's only 1 Northwind tile left, ain't there? You counted on a really tough wait, weren't you? But with this, Akasaka-kun's fate was decided.
Brat, you're lucky you're safe. But your hand only has a single tile. You think you'll be able to run away the rest of this round.
Oh, So it's gonna be like that, is it? Akasaka-kun glared at the old man with a discerning eye. This guy had pretty good instincts. You figure out that we were cheating? Let's stop this. Akasaka-kun's a step or two ahead of us.
Fool, you think we can stop after we've come this far? Next, make him drive.
I love this attitude. It's like, we've already started. If we stop now, that means we have to, we have to explain what happened there. But as long as we keep going, as long as this keeps happening, we don't have to explain it, right? The only thing that will cause consequences for this is if we stop doing it. But if we keep doing it, say, once every year, then we don't have to face the consequences for it. We just double down. See, I brought it back to something. The next tile Akasaka-kun would draw was a 7-pin. And with that, it would be settled. No matter which one he discarded, he'd play right into the old man's hand. An unavoidable full payout. When I drew my tile, I sneakily swapped Akasaka sands. Crash! What? Akasaka-kun suddenly sneezed, collapsing the wall of tiles in front of him. Oh, hey, you now, what you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally knocked over the wall when I sneezed. Oh, there's a penalty for that, right? I'm the dealer, so 4,000 to everyone? Or should I pay a deposit? Unable to hold back, I guffawed. Akasaka-kun, knowing he was going to be cornered a second time and unable to escape, took the drastic measure knocking over his own wall. You're good, boy, to get away from a full payout like that. Oh, Ishii-san, could you not bother putting me in such an obvious trap? If we were at Baba, this would have been the point where I flipped the table. Oh, no. Sorry, I underestimated you. For some reason, you're really good, ain't you? Answer me honestly. Oh, answer me honestly now. You got a lot of experience when you were younger, ain't you? Well, I played quite a bit around Waseda and Takadano Baba. The place I frequented banned me for winning too much. I made the woman who would become my wife pretty angry, so I washed my hands of it all. Too fucking good at mahjong. Raised the stakes too high, did you? How much were you playing for at the time? Well, it depends on who I was playing with, but I had an almost perfect record playing in Kabukicho. Especially since when I played against a certain crowd, my life was on the line. 20 times? What kind of stakes were those? Did you have Yakuza at your table or what? Or pro baseball players?
What's this? Kuraudo, you buffoon. Where did you pull this guy from? He's practically a professional. I give up. Jeez. Boy, it's your win. I surrender.
Well, thank you very much. It was an honor. Oh my. Oh my. Akasaka-san, your personality really changes when you play. Why do you even got a day job? You ain't got no problem living as a freelancer. Well, to be a pro mahjong player, you need both talent and luck. I didn't have anything like that supporting me. Well, luck is luck. Someone of your skill, I think you'd be able to make it pretty far. Normal luck doesn't cut it. Calling a con in 1 time out of 3 you can aim to win on the extra draw with 4 Dora. That kind of luck. Akasaka-kun, if you can judge something like that, you're already bordering on the supernatural. No, there's plenty of people who can do that without cheating or superpowers. There was a person I met in Shinjuku who could get doors every time you blinked. He was as strong as a demon. There was a pro I played with in Yokohama who could draw the tile he needed immediately after calling Riichi like it was an everyday thing. I don't have that kind of luck. What type of folks were those? They weren't named Ryu or Satoshi by any chance, were they? I have to think that's a reference to someone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a reference to someone.
But also... Well, then is it alright if I'm declared the overall winner then? Yeah, we totally lost.
I lost. It's been a while since I lost this big. Still, when you were playing, boy, you were pretty into it. It was kind of scary.
I hear that a lot. I don't mean to change gears like that, though. Did I really look that scary?
Yep.
3 of us nodded emphatically in agreement. So that was Akasaka-kun, the Mahjong prodigy. Before he goes home from his assignment, maybe I could have him go play at a high-stakes table in my place, but it ain't good to get greedy. Well then, ain't nothing for it. It was a promise after all. We'll break up our little late-night study group right now. Sorry about this, old man. That's it for tonight.
Nothing you could do. I'm going home to sleep. My body won't last like this.
Problems at work, huh? Oh, problems at work? Oh, that guy's the foreman of the primary construction site at the Hinamizawa Dam. Oh! Oh, that's who we're playing Mahjong with, huh?
Yep.
I don't think we got his name, did we? Just
We
the
didn't.
old man. He's butting heads with the residents every day now, ain't he? He ain't a rough business.
Round next year, I might be in charge of the second site as well. I heard that Kuroda-san was pissing blood. He won't hold out much longer.
You'll be all right, old man. Your skull's thicker than it looks.
I'm not exactly a saint, you know. There's times that just make my blood boil. I especially can't stand dealing with that bratty daughter of Sonozaki's. I think one of these days I'm going to rearrange her face.
Ooh.
I'm threatening a child.
I remember back in chapter 1 speculation, I was talking about how this might have come to this because specifically someone tried to fuck around with one of the Sonozaki kids. At that time, I thought it was only Mion, but yeah. Now. At least the pay is good, right? I heard those wages were pretty exorbitant.
Of course they are. If the pay was cheap, nobody would hang around that god-awful job. Hey, Crowdo, exactly when are the police going to tell all the villagers to shove off? There'll be a notice of eviction from the government, right?
Well, maybe. I wonder if that'll happen. The old man who identified himself as the foreman of the Hinamizawa Oh, did we switch back to Akasaka?
I think we switched back.
Spewed a few complaints until he felt better about it, then left quietly. Well then, let's go. I'll leave the rest to Sato-san. This is Sato. Oh, Oishi-san, are you going home? Well, if I'm here, I'll just be in the way, won't I? Besides, the one who brought Sato-san's services was you. I didn't pay for my share. Oishi-san was kind of sketchy, but he was strangely conscientious about some things. Felt quite a bit of gap between myself and his generation from that part of him I couldn't comprehend.
Then, boy. No, I can't call Mr. Mahjong here boy no more. Is Akasaka-kun all right with you?
Yes, sure.
Then, Akasaka-kun, shall we go?
Well then, Akasaka-san, I will see you later. If you're having any trouble, you can count on me anytime. Well, I mean, I don't have any more money to pay you. You know that? Well, all right. If you go easy on the next time, then we'll be even. She's seemingly still not having had his fill of playing around, but without overstaying his welcome, disappeared into the night. What on earth? What is his deal? So we are now with the Akasaka is now with the informant Sato.
Yep.
Okay. After having revealed that he is too fucking good at mahjong,
Yep.
the informant named Sato-san had me get into his car before he set off. He favored narrow roads and made numerous short left turns. You checking if we're being followed?
Yeah, you know a lot about this.
Checking to see if you were being tailed by making left turns was a rather classic technique. It was just a single pursuer, you could confirm it that way. If you're being tailed as a team, this archaic method wouldn't let you shake them. Of course, doing it anyway was better than not. Because if you're turning left, you can casually look out and see what was behind you on the driver's side.
Yep.
Right?
I didn't hear anything from the boss as to who you are, Akasaka-kun, related to the police. If you're familiar with checking for being tailed, the only other possibility I can think of is something like a private detective.
If it's not something I have to say, I'd like to refuse to answer that question.
My. Ever since we played Mahjong, you seem a lot more mature. I wonder where that hesitant person went from when we first met.
When we first met? We've met him already. I smiled.
They first met earlier today.
Oh, right.
And he was hesitant then.
I gotcha. I smiled wryly. Looking back now, I had to be a little grateful for being made to play Mahjong. Thanks to that, I was able to relieve some tension. Eventually, Sato-san, confirming there were no cars following us, slipped outside the city. We were on a pitch-black country road, unable to see anything besides the lights outside. Only things I was able to hear were the hum of the car's air conditioning and the chirping of insects and frogs. Oh, you've got air conditioning.
I heard from the boss that you want to hear a bit about Hinamizawa village, yeah?
Like about the old houses known as the three families who control the place, or that right now it's pretty much the Sonozaki family running things?
If you know that much already, I'll cut out the introductions.
Then if you would, can you confirm or deny if the Onogafuchi Guardians are involved in the kidnapping of Minister Inukai's grandson? Sato-san checked the rearview mirror one more time to confirm there wasn't anybody behind us before speaking.
Last night, the Sonozaki main house held a family council. Did you hear about it from the boss?
No.
If it was a normal meeting, then they would be all the relatives coming over for a nice cup of tea or something. But a family council head by the main house isn't quite so relaxed.
A family council held by the Sonozaki main house. That would be a meeting between those who truly controlled Hinamizawa village. They wouldn't be talking about private family matters. It would be about the village as a whole. About organizing activities against the dam project. Among other things, everything would be decided there. In reality, they were deciding the fate of the village. The head of the meeting was Oryo Sonozaki. More or less called Empress Sonozaki, as the ultimate decision-maker of the clan, she was to be feared and respected. Infirm with old age, she was often unable to stand on her own, but her words carried enough weight to sway the fate of the village. It seemed that lately she had grown weak, and on days where she wasn't feeling well, she remained bedridden. Family councils that occurred while she wasn't feeling well took place with her on the floor. In the middle of a dignified Japanese-style room, still in a futon, only the upper half of her body sitting upright, a stern look on her face. That was Oryo Sonozaki. Sitting next to her was the heir, Mion Sonozaki. She was still young. No, young wasn't quite the right word. She was a girl who remained childish. Her role was to merely sit beside Oryo Sonozaki, sometimes responding to her requests. However, she was the only one deemed worthy to succeed Oryo. She had the same hawkish eyes, enough to give pause to anyone who would so much as looked at them, which was expected of her in the future, this granddaughter of the Sonozaki's leader. And also on either side of her sat several other important members of the remaining three families, the Kimiyoshi family and the Furude family. First on the list for the Kimiyoshi family was, of course, the mayor of Hinamizawa village, Kishiro Kimiyoshi. And lined up beside him were several more of his direct relatives. Opposite to them sat the other of the three families, the Furude family. The Furude family was only comprised of the family of a Shinto priest, so the ones sitting there were said priest, his wife, and their daughter, Rika. Rika was doted on by many of the older folks in the village, and it seemed that Oryo was no exception. While the stress from just attending a family council was said to be enough to shorten your lifespan by 3 days, it seemed like Rika was the only one exempt from that. No matter how charged the atmosphere was around her, she paid it no mind, instead humming along as she doodled in a sketchbook. So I guess that's what she means by "it's been decided."
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, at the council meeting, it's been decided.
Perhaps so.
So members of... One thing I want to check here. Several more of his direct relatives. Does that mean his daughter is here as well?
It's unclear. Some of his direct relatives.
Yep. In fact, the night before, lying on her stomach while humming and doodling, she nonchalantly tucked her legs into Oryo's futon like it was a kotatsu. All this was the three families. And all around the room, lined row upon row, were the relatives of the Sonozaki family. The only ones who were afforded cushions to sit on were direct relatives. The others were left to sit in the seiza position directly onto the tatami mats. With Empress Sonozaki enshrined at their center, they were almost like a giant snake coiled around the room. decided that everyone would sit in order of their rank. The number of people from the Sonozaki family was overwhelming. The fact that the Sonozaki family held so many seats at a meeting where everything pertaining to the village was decided made determining where the balance of power was held in the three families as clear as day. The number of members in attendance from each of the families directly reflected how much influence they had in ruling Hinamizawa. What was talked about at that meeting? Sato-san, after remaining silent for a while, quietly began to speak.
Wasn't our monetary gift of appreciation to the media a little large?
Breaking the long moment of silence was the head of the Kimiyoshi family, Kishiro Kimiyoshi. The Onagafuchi Guardians wasn't a business. They were nothing more than a private organization pushing for the cancellation of the Hinamizawa Dam project, with no reliable source of income. Fundraising had always been a problem. When they first started operating, they had managed to collect a sizable amount of funds through donations, but as the conflict dragged on, that amount was steadily declining. This isn't an era you can get what you want just by throwing rocks. It's very important that you don't underestimate the power of the media, and we want to borrow some of that down the road. The expressions of the people related to the Sonozaki family were sullen, as the one who suggested that they should borrow that power was the family head, Oryo Sonozaki. The battle wasn't just about force of arms. In this civilized age, there were civilized methods of fighting. Oryo suggested that, creating a strategy incorporating the mass media. Oryo's foresight was spot on, and the effects of that plan, while at first unclear, slowly began to manifest. If the physical confrontation at the construction site was meant to delay progress on the dam by even one day, then the propaganda war using the media was aimed at attacking the dam project itself. At first there were those who had doubts about that strategy, but there was no one now who called those results into question. But in order to maintain those media ties, a colossal amount of money was required. As long as the amount of funds they had was abundant, things would turn out fine. It couldn't be argued that it was a massive expense, but the results spoke for themselves. But with the conflict continuing to drag on, the circumstances had changed. The head of the Sonozaki family, the one who sat at the pinnacle of the Hinamizawa's three families, Oryo, had suggested the idea herself. So it was already untouchable, and continued to be allowed to drain from the budget. Nobody acknowledged that it should be so allowed, but no one could say anything. That was the price of dealing with the mass media.
What do you think, Oryo-san?
The only person who could object to a plan proposed by the head of the Sonozaki household herself was probably Mayor Kimiyoshi. Oryo, with a hard-to-define expression on her face, as if she had severed herself from the fetters of mortal emotion, simply listened quietly to Kimiyoshi's words. But really, it was hard to tell if she was quietly listening, or didn't even have the intention of listening at all.
Well, last year we went through a lot of trouble getting people to wrap their heads around the price hike on the bulletins we were putting out. Convince them it was just the one time. It wouldn't do if we had another one this year.
Oh, wait. This is Kimiyoshi again, right? Yeah, no, this is Kimiyoshi again, trying to argue and...
Last year, we went through a lot of trouble getting people to wrap their heads around the price hike on the bulletins we were putting out. We convinced them it was just the one time. It just wouldn't do if we had another one this year, right, Furude-san?
The mayor looked to the priest and his wife from the Furude house for affirmation. The priest gave a vague expression, avoiding a prompt response, but his wife gave her answer without a second thought.
That's right. The cost of the bulletins are a particularly harsh burden for the poorer families. Everybody is dealing with it for the sake of the village, but it's best we don't increase the prices anymore.
The bulletin was, as its name implied, a bulletin published by the Onagafuchi Guardians. It outlined the Alliance's activities, ideals, and resolve, but you couldn't deny the contents were rather piecemeal. That bulletin's main goal wasn't to inform people, but rather to something to sell businesses and people living in the village or connected to it, and using those sales to collect funds. In other words, it had become something of a tax. Of course, it didn't have to be said that this was one of the main sources of income for the Onagafuchi Guardians. So, the money is actually coming from the people of the village, huh?
Yeah, where else?
I don't know. I thought the Sonozaki coffers would be open for this.
I mean, presumably they are, but they're also people of the village.
True.
They are big fish in a small pond.
Right. Originally, purchase was supposed to be voluntary, but in Hinamizawa it had silently become the opposite. In the neighboring town as well, it seemed that many businesses were buying copies just to avoid butting heads with the Alliance. The priest whispered to his wife that not to say anything unnecessary, but was struck down decidedly with a cold glare. Oh, okay, I see who wears the pants here. Cowering from that glare, the priest shut his mouth. The priest's wife always held the power in their relationship. That was because she was the one who carried the Furude bloodline. The priest merely married into the family. He was nothing more than someone who adopted the name just to join the three families. God, imagine that. He should have been able to find a spot fairly high up in the hierarchy of things, but the lack of authority in his voice meant he had still not gained any favor. Casting a backwards glance at her rather disparate parents, Rika continued to doodle whimsically without paying them any mind. Signaled by a look from Oryo, Mion brought her ear closer to her grandmother. There something was said to her in a quiet voice. After responding with a couple questions with a nod from Oryo, Mion looked around the room and conveyed her grandmother's words.
There will be no freeze on the price increase for the bulletin.
Kimiyoshi made a face like he had just bit into something unpleasant, but that expression quickly disappeared like it had never happened at all.
But Mion-chan, I think you already know this, but the cost of the bulletin is by no means easily affordable. It's a burden carried by everybody in Hinamizawa. If we make people carry too much of that burden, it's possible we'll collapse from the inside. And who on the inside would start that collapse? Who? I didn't mean it like that. I'm asking who would be the first to buckle.
Being cross-examined by a girl who still had fragments of childishness remaining within her, the words stuck in Kimiyoshi's throat as he sunk into silence. Mion repeated her question once more, looking around the crowded room. Everyone refrained, making eye contact to avoid being pierced by her gaze. The words she had spoken were unarguably said in proxy for Oryo. That's why when Mion spoke them, they carried the same weight. But the look in her eyes was different. Like Oryo's, they had a hawkish gaze, strong enough that anyone looking upon them would freeze in their tracks and yield. But that gaze was without question one that belonged to Mion herself. As Mion would eventually inherit everything from Oryo, the day when she would stand up as a young and capable leader in her own right would come. No one wanted to believe otherwise for even a minute. That's why nobody even thought of Mion as just some sort of little kid.
Kimiyoshi-san, nobody will lose their resolve over something like a price hike on the bulletin.
Kimiyoshi, while grumbling a little bit, made a gesture as if to say he had no objection.
The expenses related to the mass media will continue. If those expenses become too much, we'll have no choice but to continue the price hikes.
Real big attitude of someone who doesn't have to immediately deal with the consequences of their actions.
That's right. I'm a Sonozaki. You have to deal with the consequences of my actions.
Exactly. This is the kind of... You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of that fucking thing that you'd get sometimes working at retail, where like you'd get like diktat from on high about how things were supposed to run, and then you there, the one who was actually in the store making things happen moment to moment, would be like, this is functionally impossible with what you're asking me to do and all these other things. So I'm going to... So they get the benefit of saying that this is what happens, but they don't have to actually figure out how to do it. It's just the fucking people, the grunts on the ground that have to figure out how to actually contort themselves into these things, right?
Like when they set you a monthly sales target for a product you don't stock at your location.
Yep. And it's like...
And then they lecture you over it, and it's like, you and I both know that there's nothing that can be done here. But shit rolls downhill, so it's my problem now.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry, am I getting chewed out for not selling a product we don't have in the store? Okay. Mion had rendered her judgment. Everybody bowed their heads, silently listening to her words.
In the name of Mion Sonozaki, as acting head of the Sonozaki family, I hereby declare that all this shall be effective immediately. There shall be no objections, and any opposition shall be removed by force.
The formal decree was read aloud, indicating her judgment. There'd be no retrial, but there was a certain authority behind those words that even a courthouse couldn't compare to. If she was a judge, she would have banged her gavel, signaling the matter was settled. Mion pulled out a large bell from inside her clothes and rang it. Everybody present could only prostrate themselves before the harsh sound of the bell. Well, that's a rather old-fashioned family council, isn't it?
A young guy like you would probably find it hard to believe. In an antiquated place like this, these type of things have firm roots.
It was exactly as Oishi had said. The old system of the three families had vanished, and now the Sonozaki family was running things by themselves. On top of that, their rule was borderline despotic. Was that the end of the meeting?
No, there's more. I'll continue.
Eventually, after the ringing of the bell ceased, there was a deafening silence. Within all that, a lone man shuffled closer to Mion and whispered something in her ear. Mion asked several questions quietly in response. When she was satisfied, she motioned for the man to leave. The man who talked to Mion was a member of a gang that her father was the leader of. That organization had the entire area of Shishibone City under its control, so it was quite well known even here. Okay, so that's what her father is up to.
Yep.
Okay. Of course, this was talking about the criminal underworld, so it's not just anyone he would know, but just showing a patch with the gang symbol on it was enough to resolve any disputes in the neighborhood. Interesting. Mion's biological father, to Oreo, was her daughter's husband. The power of that man's gang was the driving force that controlled the dark underbelly of the Onagafuchi Guardians. And so that man, from his position as the next in line to control the three families, continued to coerce everybody around him with his unconventional presence. Next in line? But I thought only Mion was able to...
Yeah. Kind of odd to say that.
Yeah, what are we to make of that? Huh. Mion exchanged a look with her father. Was it okay for her to tell what she had just heard directly to Oreo? Looked like she was asking him that question. Her father gently but firmly nodded his response. Mion also nodded, then sidled up to Oreo and informed her of something. Eventually, Mion finished conveying her message, separated herself from Oreo, and fixed her posture, waiting for Oreo to signal her response. It wasn't often that Oreo showed any emotion. That's why when she started to laugh quietly, a vague sense of uneasiness crept over everyone in the room. I'm getting weird somatic satiation thing from saying Oreo so many times.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be very specific about saying Oreo.
And not Oreo.
And not Oreo. And I think I've been getting it.
Yeah.
But I want you to know it's taking a lot of focus.
Well, that's quite the conundrum, isn't it?
Oreo was laughing so happily that Kimiyoshi had to hesitantly ask.
What is it, Oreo-san?
Well, this land is like a mother to us. Then this business with the dam is like someone threatening our mother's life, is it not?
Kimiyoshi, unable to comprehend the meaning of her words, looked confused. Oreo, with a wide grin on her face, turned towards everyone else and addressed them in a clarion voice.
The minister behind the dam project has apparently rattled over the kidnapping of his grandson. That makes us even, I would suppose.
That's absurd! Information on the kidnapping of Minister Inukai's grandson shouldn't have leaked from anywhere. How did they know? Even we didn't know much about the kidnapping incident. Exactly how did an antiquated household so far away from Tokyo come to know of it? It was a tranquil place, but I couldn't help but have an uneasy feeling about Hinamizawa village. And yeah, at least from Akasaka's position, right? That would seem to be they have knowledge of this, and this isn't public knowledge.
Yep.
So either they know someone who knows and has reason to tell them, or they are the people behind it.
Yep.
Right? And, well, that's not good. At some point, I had mentally filed this place away as unrelated to the incident at hand. That mental paperwork had just blown away in the wind. How did the Onagafuchi Guardians know about that? Sato-san, unable to come up with an answer, fell into silence. I'm sorry. Please continue.
Sure. Minister of Construction's grandson was kidnapped. Oreo-san, is that true?
That major of an incident was nowhere to be seen in the newspapers or on TV, but in Hinamizawa, there's nothing strange about Oreo knowing something that the rest of the world didn't.
Our pain is the pain of losing a mother. I don't think it completely makes up for it, but the pain of losing a grandchild. He'll have to bear with that for a bit, I'm sure. Don't you think?
That last question wasn't addressed to anybody in particular. It was as if she was looking for consensus.
Still, land and a human child are different things. I don't mind hiding him here, but I want no harm to befall him. The child isn't to blame. Make sure to keep that in mind.
That means that the Onagafuchi Guardians were involved in the kidnapping?
I can't say for certain.
Well, why? Even though their leader Oreo was clearly giving orders on the treatment of the kidnapped child?
Lad, you see, this is what the Sonozaki family always does.
What they always does? What do you mean by that?
Let's say there was a particular problem. One that wasn't exactly favorable for the Sonozaki family. If Oreo shows concern over that particular problem, hearing that somebody who attended the family council would be helpful. As a result, Oreo's wish would be granted. However, neither Oreo or anybody else would know who actually did it. With this kind of clever little ploy, the Sonozaki family was able to manipulate events even though they had their hands laid out on the table.
So what they're saying is that she isn't... by saying that, that doesn't necessarily mean that she knows who is doing it. She is just expressing aloud her desire that he not be mistreated.
It's the classic, won't someone rid me of this turbulent priest?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Like the whole mob speak thing,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly. Then that means that someone who was at the family council was the culprit.
Or there's the possibility that there was never a culprit in the first place. Oreo herself, in that room full of people, didn't explicitly say that somebody pulled off the kidnapping. She was just given her opinion.
It was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. But still, like we said earlier, from the fact that they know about it, you can already reason down that someone here can already reason down that someone in that room is like maybe 1 degree removed from the kidnapping, right?
Yep. Specifically, we know which somebody who is at most 1 degree removed. Who brought this news?
Right, we don't know who brought the news.
We do.
Oh yeah, Mion's dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mion's dad is at most 1 step removed from what's going on, it sure seems like.
Yep. It was an odd and unpleasantly secretive way of doing things. Were they involved or weren't they? I couldn't see beyond the veil. This much, however, I could say with certainty. The kidnapping was an ironclad secret. No matter how high in a position someone was in, even they wouldn't know about it. There was someone who would know about it, they would be connected to public safety. In other words, one of us. The only other options were people connected to the case itself. Including the minister, there would be people affected by the incident, or the people that committed it. In any case, there was no way an old household in a place removed from Tokyo by over 6 hours of highway travel should know about it. Them knowing at all was already strange. My suspicions began to accumulate, like falling snow.
The sense of scale hearing about road trips in games from other countries.
Yeah. Because, like, are you talking about, like, in the scale of our state or in the scale of our country?
In the scale of our country, where it's like, oh, 6 hours by car being extremely far away. And it's
like that's...
Well...
I mean, that's like an annoying afternoon of driving, is what that is.
That's like a very small fraction of the way down our coastline here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like that gets me a couple, well, at least from on the East Coast where we are, that gets us like, a couple states over. Oh, man.
That's as much as Oreo said in regards to the kidnapping. Hopefully what you wanted to find out was in there. After this, it's up to you. I don't know what kind of work you're doing, but if you're going up against the Sonozaki family, you'd best prepare yourself. Oishi might be fearless, but even he's been attacked 2 or 3 times. He hasn't been wearing it lately, but at one point he was wearing a stab-proof vest while off duty.
Oh-ho. Well, thank you for the warning. I'll be careful.
You speak pretty well? Are you from Tokyo by any chance?
Huh? What's your point? Investigators were always close to danger. It was best not to divulge any information on myself.
Your job. Could you possibly be somebody from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division?
I couldn't remain silent here. It would be the same thing as admitting it. Huh? No way.
This wasn't accounted for in the money I got from the boss, but as somebody who played at the same table today, I'll give you this one as a freebie. After Oreo talked about the kidnapping, there was one other topic that came up.
Another topic that Oreo brought up. And right before he told me this, Sato-san asked if I was from the Metropolitan Public Safety Division. In other words, what those two things meant caused a chill to run up my spine.
So you see that in order to investigate the kidnapping of the minister's grandson, there's word there will be an investigator from public safety dispatched all the way from Tokyo.
Interesting. Now, do we take this at face value? Or is it this guy? No, because this guy's taking money to give info. I don't see why he would be spinning something. Like, I think it's important to know that we are seeing this all through, like, one person relaying this, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's an informant who's taken money to do this and is apparently trusted enough by Ooishi. And Ooishi's a sack of shit, but, like, he also needs good information to do his job.
Yeah, Oishi is a sack of shit, but he's an honest sack of shit. He's not trying to pretend he isn't.
Right, exactly. So, like, I am willing to take this at face value, but I guess there is a world where this guy cold asked Akasaka-san, "Oh, you're from Metropolitan, or you're from public safety? Oh, well, Oreo also said this," and then spins a yarn afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I suppose that is one way, but I'm for now I'm going to take it at face value.
Fair enough. An investigator from public safety.
They can't be reckless and make a big deal over the kidnapping. See, it seems the Metropolitan Public Safety Division is investigating this on their own. Ain't that grand, huh? What is it?
Rika, who had been drawing the entire time and was completely uninterested in the conversation up until now, looked at Oreo with an interested face as soon as the topic of public safety came up.
Did the Metropolitan Police come?
Oh, so Rika-chama knows about the Metropolitan Police Department. Very admirable.
Who came?
Is there anyone that knows what kind of guy from public safety came here?
Mion's father raised his hand slightly.
I hear that it's a nice young piece of fresh meat.
Fresh meat, oh? Is it nice and tender?
Yeah, it is. Fresh meat.
Mion's father smiled wryly as he answered Rika's question. Oh, this is Rika saying.
Tender and tasty. Yep. Tender and tasty.
Rika smiled with interest. Why did Rika suddenly act interested only when it came to this topic? That was a question that apparently no one had the answer to.
Does Rika-chama know something about this man?
I don't know.
After her rather flat reply, Rika buried herself underneath Oreo's futon again. When she buried herself there, Rika no longer started drawing again. Instead, she was making an expression like she was deep in contemplation.
What shall we do about him, Mother?
Mion's father posed the question. He had the type of uncouth expression on his face indicating that, given the order, he could snuff the problem out at any time.
Well, he came all the way to Hinamizawa. Let him take it easy for a little while.
So you're saying to just let him go around as he pleases?
Mion's father asked in response. Oreo smiled thinly as she responded.
Leave him alone. But if he starts causing too much mischief, when that happens, don't hold back now. I don't enjoy being taken lightly.
Is what they talked about, apparently. It couldn't be that you're that fresh meat from the Metropolitan Police, are you?
Couldn't be. The sensation of cold, bristling fear began to crawl its way up my back. This family council took place last night. So maybe that's why Rika was warning him.
You gotta get out of here. Although, Rika wouldn't have known they know, because this was last night, right? Wait, no. This is the same day. So it was last night. So Rika would have known. Yeah, you're right. You're totally correct.
Yeah. This family council took... So that explains Rika's whole... That gives some explanation for Rika having this stuff. Unless it's just unless she's channeling Oyashiro-sama. There's always that. In other words, yesterday. And then today, when I was dressed up as a tourist headed towards Hinamizawa, my cover was already blown? When I remembered the first person I met when I got to the bus stop, I couldn't breathe. The person at the family council who expressed interest in the man being dispatched from the Metropolitan Police, Rika Furude. And then the person who was waiting for me the whole time in the bus shelter, Rika Furude. It was an unthinkable image. No, it was a delusion. When we met at that bus shelter, did Rika-chan already know my true identity? Did she know that I was Akasaka, dispatched from the Metropolitan Police Department and come to meet me? Then including Mayor Kimiyoshi, every villager that I met, everybody knew but just pretended not to? Well, see, that's like the convenient thing that they want you to extrapolate from, right? It's not like they went around every villager and said this, but everyone in that meeting knew, and then everyone else just has no reason to really Yeah, right? Everyone else just has no reason to act any differently. Because Oreo had given instructions not to interfere? Thinking about it logically, it didn't seem possible. I met quite a number of people. There's people that are good at acting, then there's people who are bad at hiding things. There was that many people, there should have been somebody among them who knew I was from public safety and couldn't hide their hostility. However, I didn't feel any presence like that. But then even still, why did Oreo tell them to leave me alone? Was it because they were careless about it would only raise more suspicion? Or was it because they believed a rookie like me wouldn't be able to find anything? Every time we get the fucking smug Rika phase, where like she has no nose and her smile is a little bit too high on her face.
Akasaka is a coward.
Hey, Vivian's voice got to come in for a bit. I recalled that strange voice which could only make me believe that Rika-chan had been possessed. That unknown entity, no matter how you looked at it, knew my true identity from the get-go. And then how did it warn me again? That's right. It warned me to hurry up and go back to Tokyo. Instead of the realistic worry that the Onagafuchi Guardians had discovered my identity, the absurd worry brought on by the unknown girl stuck with me more. What exactly was that girl? What was the thing I would eventually regret? That mysterious girl, Rika Furude. Let's stop this. Everything I was thinking of right now was merely conjecture. Tomorrow, first thing in the morning, I'll report everything I heard right now to HQ and wait for their orders. There's no mistaking the possibility the Onagafuchi Guardians were related to this case was there. And the fact that my cover was blown meant I was in a precarious position. But as everyone in HQ was already extremely busy, they might not be able to spare the support. What do you mean? You go to them and you tell them they are undeniably involved they are at most 1 degree removed from this case without a doubt. And they'll be like, oh, let's spare some people from the things that aren't bearing fruit and get some more folks over here where it seems promising. That's what they're looking. This is the whole thing they needed to turn up somewhere. You are the lead. If you tell them that, you're gonna, well, whatever. Is that everything? Oh.
Is that everything? If you want, I can drop you off wherever you like.
Oh, sorry. In that case, the station where we originally met, please. A rural road where even a streetlight was rare. I couldn't see anything. I wasn't aware of anything but the asphalt that was lit up by the headlights. Outside of that light, was it simply darkness, or was there something lurking there waiting to strike? I had to think I drew the short straw here. I wanted to go back to Tokyo. For some reason, the voice of the girl warning me to go back to Tokyo still lingered in my head. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so good.
It is. Tips?
Tips?
Tips. What's in the box?
What's in the box? All right. Mahjong Prodigy is the achievement we just got. Showed off our skills. All right, we got a couple here. The investigation runs aground. Yeah, yesterday when we met at the restaurant in Ginza, that topic popped up.
That's overstepping their boundaries, isn't it? They're meddling too much with public safety. If they keep doing that, they're going to set a bad precedent.
It seems that Minister Inukai is openly uncomfortable about the way public safety is doing things. The Vice Minister is probably going to say something to that effect during Monday's debate session. But what can you do?
We can only have the Director address the Vice Minister. That's why we pay him the big bucks.
Well, if it comes to that, they're going to ask him for proof that the minister is being threatened.
Sometimes I don't know what side he's on. If he's not on ours, then what?
Well, he's probably getting some pressure from the minister. We'll probably just have to proceed with the investigation while he sweats it out in the vice minister's office and buys us some time. We might get so wrung out to dry that it'll all be left our dregs, though. So how's the investigation going?
All the juicy leads I was pinning my hopes on turned out to be duds. Honestly, I'm at a loss.
The reports that the Hinamizawa Dam project has been showing up a lot lately in the minister's press releases. So what about that?
Well, you say showing up, but it's really more of a very slight feeling that something's strange. He just happened to mention it during his speech at the redacted prefectural forum, so it just might have been something that he was mentioning because it was relevant at the time.
If I remember correctly, a local organization there was protesting quite violently, no? The Unogofuchi Guardians? I think Akasaka-kun was investigating that.
I think those guys could possibly be behind what's happening now. Even if we can't say there's anything overtly suspicious about them, it might not be prudent to remove them from the picture. Akasaka-kun reported in passing that he couldn't deny that possibility.
Then isn't there merit investigating them? We're going through everything with a fine-tooth comb, so if they're one of the suspicious groups that are left, we'll eventually have to. Right. Right.
Well, they're not the only group we should investigate, right? If we're just talking about groups that are as suspicious as Onogafuchi, there's quite a few of them. We don't have the men, the time, or the money for it all.
I'll try asking for more details from Akasaka-kun. Feel like we should pay some extra attention to the Guardians, though.
He's reported he's established a rapport with the villagers. It also seems he's collaborating with the local police.
Keep your contact with Akasaka-kun on the down low. Oh,
Keep your contact with Akasaka-kun on the down low. Also, if there's anything in his info that merits investigation, it's possible we can send reinforcements.
got it. Oh, sorry, Chief Kataoka. There's a phone call from the director. Should I transfer it over here?
No, it's okay. I'll head over there.
Chief Kataoka. Interesting.
Yes, hello?
Interesting. What's this one? What's in the box? What's in the box? We finally get to use this episode title.
Yeah.
What's in the box? Do you believe that there are choices in life? There are many people who lament the following. If only there existed points in life where there were clear choices to make, we would be able to scrutinize those carefully and make decisions that would lead us to a better future. This is almost making me wish we had played with the choices on. Every time I hear people lament as such, I cast it off as a rather trivial worry. Even if you were given a clear choice, it wouldn't be meaningful at all, and there wouldn't be any such path to a better future. Is this hard to understand? Then let's pretend that in front of you, there are two strange boxes. In other words, you have two clear choices. Do you open the red box, or do you open the blue box? A lot of things would be uncertain even with that choice, wouldn't they? If you don't have the option of opening neither, then your choice boils down to the natural impulse of opening the box that holds the better result for you. Then after examining the shape and features of each, and pondering the great many things, you have to pick either the red or the blue. If this was you, which box would you open? Red or blue? If you were to go by their traditional meanings, then red would be a dangerous, threatening color. However, that doesn't automatically mean that it would be calm and relaxing inside the blue box either. In fact, it might even be that the colors are a trap and make you wary of the red box and you have to open the blue. The trap, though, could be the contents of the box aren't a reward but a penalty? See, now you're at a loss. You're so conflicted over the choice between red and blue that you started wishing there was an option to open neither and just leave. But there isn't. You have to open either the red box or the blue box. Oh, I forgot to say this, but if you choose one box, the other will disappear. So you'll never know the contents of the box you don't open. I'll just put that little rule at the end there for you. Now, why don't you choose the red box or the blue box? It's all right. You won't lose anything by picking either one. Come on now. Wow, this really... Did adding the choices make this chapter better? All this talk about like determinism and like what we actually have agency over. Would this chapter actually have been better with the choices from the console version? Discuss
We'll
in
never
the
know
comments.
because we opened the blue box.
We opened the blue box? Okay. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. You open up the box you chose. Inside the box there was a stick of chewing gum. Hey! I know you're a little disappointed. Well, that's only natural, isn't it? No matter how you look at it, it looks like you drew the dud. The correct box might have had a bar of chocolate in it, for all you know. No, in fact, something incredible, like a pair of tickets to Hawaii might have been in there. But even if you wanted to verify that, the other box has already disappeared. There's no way you can check now. But if you think about it from an optimistic point of view, just maybe, the other box was empty, and this box was the winner. And being satisfied, or perhaps not, with such a cheap prize, and you pop it into your mouth and start chewing it happily. So, what do you think in the end? If you were given a second chance, would you try to open the other box? But unfortunately, the chance to choose between the red box and the blue box has come and gone, never to be seen again. The chance to change your selection will never come. Don't your parents often say every choice you make in life only happens once, so choose carefully? You see, choices aren't that great after all. Aren't you a little disillusioned now? Well, okay, I'll take the bait. I'll take the bait. You want to take the bait? The game's being really silly about it.
All right,
I see you. All right. So, let's see what it... We do get to pick. Have you thought about it? In the end, you chose this color, didn't you? As soon as you chose, the other box disappeared. So you can give up on the contents of that one, okay? That's the rule. Inside the box, there was a piece of caramel.
and then the rest is identical, I'm
right now,
sure.
you're thinking that's it. That's right.
Oh.
The contents of the red box and the blue box were a piece of caramel and a stick of chewing gum. You might have thought you made the wrong choice before, but now seeing them together like this, you can't really say that either choice was the wrong one. I'm like, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of a certain other game that I still don't want to spoil, even though it's almost a decade old. At the end of the first act, the game kind of baits you over and over about how, like, oh, this, if only there was something else I could have done. If only I had paid more attention or tried to help this person out, maybe something could have changed, but it's too late now and I can never go back and do it. The game very obviously baits you through its dialogue to try to interact, to try to go back and use your saves and try to do it again. Whereas, and I'm like, this has to be doing that, right? It's laying it on so thick.
Dang, now I have to wonder what game it is you're not spoiling.
I'll tell you after we're done, you know it. Well, I guess everybody has their personal preferences. If you prefer caramel to gum, for example, you're definitely thinking of choosing to open the box again based on that preference. Clear choices you wanted were basically this: the selfish desire to open up both boxes and compare the contents to pick the one that most suited you. But you see, reality is the same as this game. Pick one, the one you didn't choose disappears, so there's no way you could check the result. If at that time you had done this, or perhaps if you had done that, then it wouldn't be hard to imagine that you could be happier, or perhaps less happy than you are right now. In the end, you only have the pleasure of approving or of being disappointed by the choice that you did make. But that's fine. After all, didn't you enjoy the thrill of making the choice? If, like now, you knew the contents of both boxes, then the choice between the red box or the blue box would just be a waste of time. Because instead of this boring game about boxes, you could be looking at the quickly changing evening summer sky, listening for the distant sound of thunder, and pondering if it's going to rain or not. That would be much more fun. Oh, delightful. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we took the bait on that one. That was worth it.
Me too.
The glint in the demon's eye.
Yes, so the wake will be from 6 p.m. tomorrow, and the service will be the day after from noon until 1. The venue will be Okonomiya Ceremony Hall. I see. It's Deputy Mayor Ikazawa's grandson's funeral we're talking about. We have to pay our respect. Oh,
We have to pay our respects. Mion, I'll have you go in my stead.
okay, got it. Should I wear mourning clothes?
Deputy Mayor Ikazawa's grandson's funeral. Is there any chance Mayor Ikazawa is young Inukai's other grandfather? Is there any chance?
Definitely all grandsons are the same grandson.
No, I mean, like, I'm just throwing stuff out there.
How much should I bring for the funeral offering?
You can go in your school uniform. Make sure you button it up properly, though. You don't want to be showing too much tit at your age. For all the money, 50? No, 100,000 yen. They've done a lot for us.
Mion quietly whistled an awe at the exorbitant amount of money her grandmother was offering. A lot of money, but you still only get the granddaughter in her school uniform.
And to be fair, Oreo struggles to walk, so...
True, but they wouldn't. She's not even gonna like dress in mourning black or something, right?
Ikezawa-san's been a prudent person ever since his days as the head of the Okonomiya municipal office. When those government types paid me a visit, they'd always stay outside. Whenever I offered Ikezawa-san a cup of tea, he'd come inside and carefully listen to what I had to say. I always lent a proper ear to what people had to say. Others should learn from a person like him.
The two guests made a show of nodding, making it clear they were paying attention as Oreo reminisced. The sight of them trying not to get on Oreo's bad side was humorous enough to elicit laughter from Mion occasionally.
How young was Deputy Mayor Ikazawa's grandson when he died?
11 years old, apparently.
Oreo closed her eyes and shook her head lightly, lamenting the loss of such a young life.
If I recall correctly, he said he only had the one grandchild. How sad. Nothing worse for a parent than outliving their offspring.
You're really nice to other people, Granny. If Shion or I died, would you be this sad?
Don't be stupid. If you died, I'd be the one pulling the trigger, you little shit.
Right back at ya. Right back at ya, Graham.
Saying something like that is bad luck.
Oh, yep, this is canon. This is how they do it now. Having got the reaction she expected, Mion cackled. The two guests, unsure if they were supposed to laugh along, instead forced awkward smiles.
We'll take our leave for today then. We'll be by tomorrow evening at 5 to pick you up. Until then, please excuse us.
After bowing their heads repeatedly, the guests left by the front door. Mion saw them off, waving her little hand goodbye.
They're gone. It must have been rough for them to pay you a courtesy visit, Granny. It would have been fine if they just broke the news over the phone.
Well, it was true that Oreo Sonozaki was the central person for both her relatives and the residents of Hinamizawa village as a whole. As a voting bloc, they numbered in the several thousands. It wasn't hard to imagine the mayor would try to pander to her. Unlike Mion, however, Oreo was looking up longingly at the sky from the veranda.
What's the matter? Are you going senile?
I just thought that no matter whose grandchild it was, I'd feel sorry for them.
Saying that, she let out a deep sigh.
And also, no, I'm not going senile yet, you little smart-mouthed brat.
Mion was let down, as normally her grandmother would have scolded her for her attitude.
Mion, you know that minister's grandson. How long has it been since he was abducted?
4 days, maybe?
Mion knowing exact details. Oreo let out another deep sigh.
Maybe the grandchild of our bitter enemy, but I still feel sorry for him.
Really?
That's enough of a warning. Should bring this to an end soon.
The playful expression drained from Mion's face, leaving behind a stern one. And then, as if to ascertain Oreo's will, looked into her eyes. Oreo, expressing her attention with only those eyes, looked back into Mion's.
I want some tea. Could you call for some? Some of that chocolate, too.
Mion gave a small nod, then turned around. Mion's like, is Mion thinking about not returning him yet?
Shimiko-san, are you there? Grandma wants some tea. Could you prepare some?
From far away, a voice responded in the affirmative. Mion, after confirming she'd been heard, picked up the phone and began dialing.
Hello, this is Mion. Yeah, is my father there? So.
Interesting. Well, that seems to make it unambiguous. But remember, we have the right to reject this story.
Yeah, that's true.
That is true. So I am having a great time, though. This is like some of the nitty gritty stuff I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it, nothing if not a wonderful. I'm finding it hard to imagine the question arcs ending without us seeing this stuff. I think there's a version of this story where this is answer arcs material, but also I feel like we've only gotten very askance hints as to what was going on during the damn wars.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard to put stuff, like to even start giving a framework to stuff like this. So this is cool. This is neat. I'm having such a great time.
I'm glad.
Oh, Tiny Mion.
Tiny Mion.
What's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? No one knows. Oh, we'll see you all next time, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.